Ever wondered where the idea of written laws first began? Long before modern courts and constitutions, King Hammurabi of Babylon created the world's first legal code carved into stone. These weren't just simple rules, they were a complete system of justice and order that guided society. From property disputes to marriage contracts, Hammurabi's code offered clear answers. People no longer depended only on oral tradition or rulers' moods. They had laws everyone could see. Imagine walking through Babylon and finding a tall stone stele inscribed with hundreds of laws binding both the rich and poor. The Code of Hammurabi wasn't just a set of rules, it was the beginning of civilization's legal foundation. Did you know Hammurabi's laws were carved on a 7-foot-tall basalt stele for the public to read? Unlike oral traditions that could be twisted or forgotten, these laws were permanent. Citizens could walk by and understand the punishments, rights, and responsibilities written for them. Everything from trade disputes to crime and punishment was covered. By making the code visible to all, Hammurabi ensured that no one was above the law. This created a sense of stability and fairness in Babylonian society. Today, that same stone stele still exists in the Louvre Museum in Paris, a timeless reminder of how humans first codified justice. What if justice came with fear? The Code of Hammurabi was famously harsh, following the principle of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Crimes often carried severe punishments to ensure order. For many, this strictness was a way to deter criminals and protect citizens. But historians still debate, was this true justice or simply control through fear? For the Babylonians, it offered security in a chaotic world, but for modern readers, it raises philosophical questions about fairness. This balance between justice and power makes Hammurabi's code one of the most important milestones in the history of law and philosophy. Did you know Hammurabi's code introduced the idea of laws applying to everyone? In a time when rulers and nobles often escaped accountability, this was revolutionary. While punishment still varied by social class, the principle was clear. Both the elite and the common people had to live under the same laws. This was one of the earliest steps toward the concept of equality before the law, something we value today. The Code of Hammurabi influenced future civilizations, from the Hebrew Bible's laws to the Roman legal system. Though not perfect, it was a massive leap forward in the story of human governance and justice. Why does Hammurabi's code still matter today? Because it showed that civilizations thrive on written rules. Without structure, societies collapse into chaos. Hammurabi's vision gave us the idea that laws must be recorded, visible, and enforced. Modern constitutions, legal systems, and even the idea of human rights trace their roots back to this Babylonian king. Thousands of years later, we still rely on the principle that justice must be accessible to all, not hidden or selective. The Code of Hammurabi remains one of history's most powerful reminders that order, fairness, and accountability are the pillars of any great civilization. His stone-carved words continue to echo as the foundation of law and philosophy in our world today. Did you know Hammurabi wasn't just a king, he was a visionary lawmaker. Ruling Babylon around 1750 BCE, he realized that no kingdom can survive without clear justice. His code brought order to trade, fairness to family disputes, and stability to daily life. By turning justice into written words, he reduced confusion and corruption. Hammurabi saw that his empire needed more than soldiers. It needed laws to protect both the weak and the powerful. That's why his name still echoes in history as the father of written law. Ever heard the phrase "an eye for an eye"? That came directly from Hammurabi's law code. His system believed that punishment should match the crime, creating fear to stop wrongdoing. If someone damaged property, they had to repay it. If someone harmed another, they faced the same harm in return. Harsh? Yes, but effective for its time. In a world where chaos often ruled, Hammurabi's strict laws brought predictability. This harsh justice may shock us today, but it was a milestone in the evolution of human law. What if laws were made not just for kings, but for the weakest in society? Hammurabi's code did exactly that. Widows, orphans, and the poor were given special protection. Landlords couldn't easily exploit farmers, and merchants had clear rules for fair trade. This wasn't perfect equality, but it was a giant step forward in creating a balanced society. Hammurabi's vision was that justice should not only serve the rich, but also protect the vulnerable. This principle is still one of the cornerstones of modern legal systems. Can you imagine that a law carved nearly 4,000 years ago still shapes our world today? The Code of Hammurabi influenced the Hebrew 10 Commandments, the Roman 12 Tables, and even the modern idea of constitutional law. The principle of written rules, equal justice, and accountability began with Hammurabi. Without his vision, our legal systems might look completely different. From traffic rules to international treaties, the DNA of Hammurabi's code runs through them all. His Babylonian stone still whispers to us, society survives only through justice. Did you know Hammurabi's stele wasn't just stone, it was a symbol of power. Placed in public spaces, it reminded everyone, from merchants to nobles, that the king's laws ruled above all. At the top of the stele, Hammurabi is shown receiving authority from the sun god Shamash, the god of justice. This image reinforced that the laws were divine and not to be questioned. It wasn't just politics, it was a blend of law, religion, and authority. The stone didn't just display rules, it declared, "Justice is eternal." What if civilization depended not on weapons, but on laws? Hammurabi understood that armies could win land, but only justice could hold it together. His code created a framework where farmers, traders, and families could trust in a system beyond personal revenge. By writing laws on stone, Hammurabi turned justice into a public promise. It was not hidden in the palace, it was displayed for all to see. This was one of humanity's greatest steps, turning raw power into civil order through the rule of law. Did you know Hammurabi's code is more than 3,700 years old, yet still studied in schools today? It remains one of the oldest surviving documents in human history. Beyond Babylon, its spirit influenced the development of democracy, human rights, and fair governance. Whenever you see a modern courtroom, think back to Hammurabi's stone stele. His idea that laws must be written and applied equally became a universal truth. Hammurabi may have ruled a distant kingdom, but his vision built the foundation of every modern justice system we know today. His legacy proves, justice carved in stone lasts forever. Have you ever thought about why laws need to be public? Hammurabi's stele wasn't hidden in a palace or locked in a library. It stood tall in public spaces where anyone could see it. This meant justice was no longer a secret tool of kings, but a promise to the people. Farmers, merchants, and even travelers could walk by and know the rules that governed their lives. It created a bond between ruler and subjects, where law became a visible contract. For the first time in history, power wasn't only about the sword, but about a shared understanding of justice carved into stone. Babylon eventually fell, its palaces crumbled, and its rulers were forgotten. Yet Hammurabi's stone stele survived the passage of thousands of years. Carried away, rediscovered, and preserved, it still speaks today from the halls of the Louvre Museum. Empires rise and fall, but the written word of law endures. That survival proves that ideas, fairness, accountability, and justice can outlast armies and kings. Hammurabi's code wasn't just a tool for his time, it was a gift to every generation that came after. It reminds us that true power lies not in conquest, but in principles strong enough to live forever.